We're here with Jesper from Iotunn. Is that how
Hello.
you pronounce the band's name? Because
Yeah,
I've
that's
watched
quite
another
good.
interview and they pronounced it differently, and now I'm not sure.
There's a lot of Americans who say Iotunn,
All
but
right.
yeah, I think the best way is Jotun.
All
Jotun.
right. Thankfully, the Americans are wrong again. Not the first time they're doing that.
Yeah, but I like Iotunn as well. So yeah,
All right. So far it's been Iotunn and Iotunn. Have you
yeah.
heard a third version? Perhaps we can find something even spicier.
Uh, Actually, not. I think Jötunn,
Iotunn.
perhaps. Yeah,
Iotunn.
something.
All
Yeah,
right. From my understanding, it's an Old Norse word meaning
yeah,
giant, is it?
yeah.
All
Well,
right.
in Old Norse, it's the very first spelling that you can find in the Old Norse dictionary for the giants in Northern mythology.
All right.
And then later on, it was implemented to the uh, English language, spelled otherwise, and then it became like then it meant giants in general in mythologies as such.
All right. So originally it was just the giants in the Norse stories.
Yeah.
All right. What's the Danish name for them right now?
For the Giants,
Yep.
Jette.
Fair. Close enough. Yeah.
Almost there.
Yeah. All right. When you first picked that name, I suppose it was, well, because Norse mythology is awesome. I uh, I expect it was a pretty clear choice, but how do you feel the name represents you currently with the new album?
Oh, oh, I think you're the first one asking that, and I've done a lot of interviews, but I think back when we like chose to name ourselves with Jotun, it was a matter of us going in a music direction which was more Nordic. And at the same time, I think that those giants represents something that has an enormous energy to it and something that challenges all those things in our culture that we tend to just think, oh, that's just how it is, you know. This is the box we put this in, and so on. And the giants tend to create some disturbance in those regards, and so in many ways they represent something chaotic, which is very inspiring because also if you work like how we work in Jotun is also that we don't want to put ourselves and our creativity into something too simplified or something. We like to challenge ourselves and explode our own creative bubbles and see, okay, what happens if we say let's go this way instead, and just to challenge ourselves all the time and see what music comes out of it. So I
Hmm.
think it's very much always be curious about new territory in all regards in some way, and don't get too comfortable in your own creativity and in your own mind, I think.
Hmm. Right. Um, well, when I check your page, I obviously see that Joan and the new bassist, they've been part of different other bands, Hamferd and Sannes Don. But the three core members that have been there in Jotun since the beginning, you don't really have any other band credited as. So you pretty much just started out doing what you wanted to do with Jotun.
Yeah, for my own sake, the prehistoric years of Jotun was goes all the way back to 2009, where I created a like space rock band because
Mm.
I were listening to all the great music from the late 60s and into the 70s. And that was because I had a couple of years there where I didn't listen a lot to metal, of course, some, but I listened very much to rock music.
Mm.
old rock music and progressive rock music and so on. And then around 11, oh, and Björn, our drummer, is from all the way back to 2009. And my brother Jens and I joined in 11. And we have all played in different projects and bands in, before that also, and in late primary school and high school years and so on, different things, but never like this
professionally?
was this was a matter of doing a band very, very like serious,
Mm.
and stick to it and keep on going, and then it has turned out to all this, yeah. But Jon and Eskil joined in 18 and Eskil in 19.
Yeah, I'm just cross-checking with Metal Archives too.
Yeah, that's cool.
I obviously don't know all your band members uh, by heart. So what I'm saying is that Bjorn, Jesper, Jens, I know you're
Yeah, that's
Jesper,
my
and
brother.
Benjamin, those were
Yeah,
since 2015. But
yeah. And
so
Benjamin, we parted ways with him in
2017.
2017. Yeah,
Yeah. All right. So where do you think Metal Archives gets the 2015 date from?
I think they get it from when we released Access All Worlds. We
Access
it's
All
again
Words wasn't
it's
it in 2021?
yeah,
I think you
but
mean the Wizard Falls.
the Iotunn name became in 2015.
Okay.
So that was the sound that we still in many ways are connected with,
Mm.
developed in 2014 and 2015, around there. And that's, the years before was very much about inspiration from the space rock and so on. And then during the first years, metal came in, you know, and then the Jotun sound came out of that.
All right.
So 2015 is kind of, the mark of us naming the band Jotun and releasing our EP, and then the journey began in many ways there.
Yeah. Progressive influences I can definitely hear in Jotun's music, but it's kind of wild thinking that you were a space rock inspired band. Do you think that's a sound that maybe will seep in at some points in Jotun's future?
Well, I think if you listen to the atmosphere of our sound, uh, you can find it. It's in there, but it's mixed up with, for example, we have a huge love and inspiration in classical music as well.
Mm.
My brother and I are classical guitarists from childhood, so it mixes up, So it's but for instance, the if I have to say it myself, the guitar solo I have in the song called "Waves Below" from Access All Worlds is I there's a lot of inspiration in me writing that solo that comes from all the love I have for Pink Floyd and Genesis and all these bands. So
Mm.
I think it's there, absolutely.
All right. So when you first started getting into music, when you were a teenager or even earlier, do you remember a specific moment hearing something very specific that made you think, this is what I want to do? I want to make music.
That goes way, way back. Actually, one of my very, very first memories was when I was, I think, 4 years old or something, and I
Mm.
was sitting on my mother's lap, and my brother came home with a cassette tape with some Black Album songs, and I remember like my brother going into the room very, you know you need to hear this. And I remember he put on Sad But True. I remember those,
Duh,
and
duh,
they're really
duh,
hitting me
duh.
now. Yeah. And of course, I didn't think back then, oh, let me grab the guitar, But I remember the inspiration and the just the energy of it. And then I think when I was like 7 or 8 or something, I listened to the Ride the Lightning album for the first time, like where I put it on myself and listened. So that intro and beginning, starting riff in Fight Fire with Fire is absolutely one of those moments. And perhaps Fade to Black is the song that made the difference for me. That, that's just I need to try and go in that direction and write music.
Mm.
So Metallica is perhaps the biggest band in that matter for me. But there's a lots of them. But yeah, they did it.
I think for a lot of us, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Right. So then the love for 60s and 70s rock came later.
It came later. I heard some Pink Floyd when I was a child, here and there. And I remember that I liked it, but to really like take it in and make it something within myself as a big thing and so on, that was really in like, yeah, late primary school and high school. I had like 3, 4 years where I just, Led Zeppelin and The Doors and Deep Purple and Black Sabbath and Pink Floyd, Genesis, Yes, Rush, all those bands,
Mm.
just going nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's any album from that period that should get more love from metalheads but does not?
Wow. Oh, the funny thing is that I tell people that it doesn't isn't a part of the metal community or like metal fans and so on, that if you want to go into a culture and like a music sphere today where the the qualities and also the love for that era of music is still alive and is still inspiring people, that's the metal scene. So what I experience is that many metal heads love music from that time. An album, the more recognition. That's a good
Yes,
question.
because metalheads do have like a they know and they're very much into a lot of bands that were like made very clear that these were influences for metal music, like Pink Floyd, even though they're not known for being an influence, have absolutely had, and they're like the favorite band of like half the music listening people in the world. Deep
Yeah,
Purple, their own metal archives. Black Sabbath,
yeah,
first
yeah,
metal band. Led Zeppelin, big influence. Thin
exactly.
Lizzy, AC/DC, whatever.
Yeah. But then I would
Genesis
go,
also huge band. But then you have
yeah,
like bands like, for example, Mountain,
yeah,
or I don't know, some Comus, or something else that's
yeah. But I
like.
think there's a lot of metalheads who would say that Mountain is a great band,
Mm,
but perhaps I would say that you should try and dig into more of the, trippy psychedelic sound. Uh, I absolutely love the Doors and I love the whole
mm.
discography. But I think there's a lot of metalheads loving Doors.
Even the albums without John Morrison.
No,
Yeah, yeah. Let's
not
stick it.
not
Let's stick it to the core.
not as much. But yeah, and also a band like Yes, I think is magic. But I
Mm,
think metalheads in general, if they know Yes, I think they like it.
mm.
Uh, yeah, yeah. Hard for me to mention one album, I think, because I think metalheads like it. If they don't already do, then they would if they listen to it.
All
That's
right,
my, yeah,
fair enough.
yeah.
All right. What on first glance, what stood out to me from for your new album is that Access All Words was done with the same lineup, but it felt like it's been going on behind the scenes for a much longer time before your lineup solidified. So Kinship is the first album where, oh, this is Iotunn, From start
Yeah,
to finish, the finish of the making of Kinship, this was always Iotunn.
yeah.
How did it feel different from the making of Access All Words in that regard?
Yeah, I think you're totally right. And you know, when Eskil and Jon joined Iotunn, we already had demos for quite a lot of Access All Worlds. That's also when I reached out to Jon, I sent him free demos of free songs that would come on be on Access All Worlds. But I think there's much more like we we've matured together in this kinship process in a new way, I think, and it's been more calm, and we didn't have any pressure, you know. We weren't out there looking for a singer, or we were just the band, and the whole process has been extremely calm and inspiring and funny in many ways to just write the music and yeah, and we've just agreed on so many things all the way, and all five of us has put in, you know, a huge amount of effort throughout years, you know, 4 years in the making, and we've been working on it all the time. So it's just been a better process, and you know, it's been nice to be a part of, and to be that whole band from the beginning has definitely like done something for us, also in regards of perhaps going more focused into our music, and also daring to go even deeper into some ideas and try out stuff and so on. You know, like we talked about in the beginning, the mentality of just daring to try and try and try and keep on doing that
Mm,
over and over and over. That's where suddenly you stand with, oh, that's fucking awesome, you know, and that's awesome, and that's how we want each note on the whole album to be. You know, we really try to focus on every detail, so it's as good as possible all the time, you know. And
right. What's, for example, something you try to do new specifically in Kinship?
well, we have an acoustic song.
Daring.
But there we go. But yeah, the acoustic song is a story that, or it comes from, you know, my brother and I being classical guitarists, so it's something that's been in our heads for a long time, and to really go into that, that's not the first acoustic material we wrote, you know, and it took a long time to get to that exact song, but also just there's for an example is in the song Earth to Sky, for example. It was quite different up until very late in the process, and then my brother came in with a part that is right after the third chorus, I think, which is just no, it's after the verse before the third chorus, but it's something that just presents a totally new world. But it's just so, you know, I just got mesmerized when my brother came with that part, and it was just like, yeah, we're gonna do that. So it's about taking chances, but the most important thing is that we've matured, my brother and I. So when we write the guitars, the whole perspective of having Yeon in our minds all the time when we write the guitars is just getting better and better. So yeah, so we know better how to write, of course, hopefully better riffs, better music, and so on. But we know better and better how to write music also in regards of having the perspective of Yeon in our minds. And that's yeah, and being curious about creating music is something that, you know, takes time, and it takes a lot of focus and energy to keep on trying to get better and keep on killing your darlings, because that's extremely important to not have like riffs on a record where you think like, that's that's semi good, or it's a bit boring or something, you know.
Mm. Now that Kinship is almost out, and you've had the chance to work on it, and be focused on it, how has your perspective changed on Access All Words?
I don't think it's changed actually because not yet. I really, really love Access All Worlds, and I think we did something special. And yeah, to be honest, it hasn't changed my view on that. I'm just like the most important thing for me these days is that I feel this body of a discography being built now. You know, it's very, very different to have been in a band for years and have one album out and have two albums out. You know.
Mm.
Um, But I think Access All Worlds is a very huge and rocking album, and I'm just proud of it. And yeah, it's just a good place, you know. And yeah, perhaps in a month or two or three or something, I will look back in another way. But yeah, not yet.
All right. I know you've also worked with somebody else to do the mixing and mastering for your Kinship, right?
Yeah, yeah,
How was that experience like?
it was amazing. Uh, I think we've been very, very, you know, not just lucky because we've chosen the producers ourselves, you know, throughout, but we've worked with great producers all the way. And that's something that we prioritize very highly, you know, to go into a studio with a world-class producer each time. But something that was very important to us in regards of going from Access All Worlds and into this new album was to find a producer who could take our music to a more organic place, but without losing the edge and heaviness of Access All Worlds. We still wanted that to be there, um, and uh, and uh, and we contacted Jakob Hansen, and he did a test mix, and we were just like, yeah, we can see the direction. And something that we do with each release is that we go to the studio and mix with the producer. So we are in the studio mixing our album together with the producer for several days, and that's some very interesting times, you know. And Jakob Hansen is amazing. He's a very, very like sweet and cool guy, and he's just a very great producer. So it was amazing to work with him. Yeah.
Mm. All right. If you could get any living director to direct a music video for a Iotunn song, who would that be?
Wow. Spielberg.
Hmm. Perhaps.
No, I don't know. Yeah, that's the first that came up.
Do you have a backup plan then?
Lars von Trier.
Of
No,
course, you're
no, no,
going
no,
for the
no, no, no,
Danish
no,
one.
no. Okay, David Lynch.
All right, that's the
Yeah,
best. That's the best possible answer you can get.
yeah. I have to. You know, it's almost midnight here, so my
Well,
brain
it's
is.
past midnight here, so
Oh, sorry. But David Lynch. Yeah,
all right, we'll stick with David Lynch then.
yeah.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, we we have a premiere on Metal Blade Records YouTube channel at that's 10 p.m. our time tomorrow.
Mm,
But check in, and we'll be there in the live chat and so on. So that's yeah, our album is out in 24 hours, so that's amazing. And yeah, and we've also very importantly just not only for me, but the whole band, is that we've received a lot of good energy on the Metal Storm platform. It's been
Mm.
and it's Metal Archives and Metal Storm. That's the two websites I primarily use to nerd metal music and find new albums to listen to and so on. So to have Access All Worlds received so well, that's huge for us. So a big thank you to the whole community. That means very much to us all. Yeah.
All right.
And of course, I hope the new album will resonate with you. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I'll be there to listen to it.
Yeah. Cool, man.
All right. So, cheers.
Yeah. Cheers, man.